Mm, On the PlayStation 5, I was continuing to play the PlayStation 4 game that I've been chipping away at now for a couple of months, which is
Hmm.
God of War, the first one, the
Oh.
2018 version. And I tweeted about this. This is the second time that I've done this because I have to say, for a game that I know a lot of people who hold this up as one of the best games ever made, and even more people who hold it up as like the best game of 2018, and that's fine. But there is so much about that game I don't like.
Oh, really?
And it's funny because when I sort of put a tweet out there about it, I get a lot of people responding, and not in like a negative way, not in like a get good or you suck or anything like that, but more of a you kind of have to look past that. There seems to be a lot you have to look past in that game to really love it, which I feel is not great design personally, but like it's I feel like they didn't make a solid decision on what they wanted the game to be. It feels like the story wants to be a linear game, more like a traditional God of War, and it would have been fine. It would have served its purpose, but it also wants to be open world, but it doesn't want to be too open world. So what that leads to is having a big hub area where you spend so much time in a canoe, it's ridiculous. Going to these different launch points or docking points to fight these sort of battles in these little side quests that really serve no purpose other than to collect some of the 45 plus different types of resources that you can then use to upgrade armor and weapons in one of the most convoluted interfaces ever. And like that's sort of the thing that I tweeted about is just like I think I'm past this whole like resource grind, and then you get a lot of people saying like you don't need to do that. Like if you want to mainline the story, you can mainline the story, which is great. I'm glad I know that now, but boy, the game does a terrible job making that clear, right? Because you're led to believe that all of this is very important. At least that's how I felt about it when I was playing. It's like, well, all these resources must exist for a reason. It must be important to upgrade my armor or to buy like the other 12 or 15 different versions of the armor. I'm not sure why, but it must be important. And a lot of people who have played through the game were like, no, it's not.
But isn't that modern open world games too? Like they give you a lot of options, but you can just not do any of it if you don't want to.
I guess. I mean, and I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of experience with a lot of modern open world games at this point. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's the case, but it's still not clear to me. And from the responses I've seen, it's clearly like a known issue. And I've heard that Ragnarok fixes the problem a lot, which is great. That being said, like right after I did that and I kind of pushed forward, my biggest concern was like the story, it kills the pacing of the story for me. And the story is supposed to be a great story. But like at the point that I had picked it up and sort of tweeted that, I couldn't have told you what I was doing, what the main plot point was at that moment, because it had been so long since I'd sort of seen seen a story moment, or I'd become so disengaged because I was busy, cleaning up all these little docking points around the hub, that I really didn't know what was going on anymore without checking a menu to find out, oh, this is what I'm doing. This is why I need to go to this particular point on the map. Which I think if you've got a great story, if the game is set up in such a way that the pacing is destroyed, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a win to me. But I did move forward to the next section and then got one of those glorious God of War moments where I basically went to the corpse of a frost giant, and the thing is gigantic, right? And I mean that's what God of War has always been so good at, is that sense of absurd scale. And boy, was it great. Like, it's when you get those moments in this game it's very God of War and it's very awesome, and I really, really like it. But boy, oh boy, the side quest stuff is just mind numbing. And I'm definitely like I'm playing through this because I want to play Ragnarok, and I was told like you need to experience the first game for the story. And the parts of the story that I've seen are great, but I'm not picking up Ragnarok right after this. I'm totally burnt out on this type of God of War. Although I did unlock spoiler warning, I guess, from a game from 5 years ago. I did finally get the blades. So it's feeling more like old God of War now. So that's great. But yeah, I'm not, I don't know. It's just another example, I think, of a series that I used to love that has kind of left me behind. It's not the type of game I want it to be. Doesn't mean it's a bad game. Just it's not my kind of game. So I'm hoping that Ragnarok, people are saying Ragnarok fixes the issues, but I don't know if it'll fix them in my mind, or it fixes them for just more modern open world game types that I clearly am not all that into anymore. So, so yeah. God of War 2018, and I'm sick of him calling his son boy. Oh my God, that needs to end. That was a good story moment at the beginning of the game, but like we're 10 or so hours into the adventure now, bro. Like just call him by his name for God's sake. It doesn't sound natural.
No,
it sounds like a meme.
I mean, it is a meme for that reason.
I know, and that's the problem.